Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside Gaming. Today's episode is brought to you by the letter S for Google Stadia, because we're also talking about streaming.
A lot of S words today, so it's no surprise that the launch of Google Stadia has been a rocky one. But despite this, some folks are still claiming that streaming is the future of games.
What? But streaming has one big rival besides just buying a console or PC and playing the game normally.
Another S word.
Subscription services! That's two S words! In fact, industry analyst Matt Piscatella said that the future of games will not be a battle of platforms, but one of ecosystems.
Ooh.
Another word with some S's.
Yeah, three actually.
Three S's.
Goodbye console wars, hello ecosystem wars.
Back in the old days, we were sure it was gonna be Nintendo versus Sega forever, and now we're living in a world where Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft are becoming increasingly more open about having their players cohabit in various games via crossplay. Isn't that right, Caden?
Everybody's working together, but where's the drama in that? It's super lame. But about that battle of the ecosystems, Piscatella specifically said that, quote, the 2020s will be about ecosystems, not platforms. By the end of the decade, I doubt any company will tie content exclusively to one device. Particular hardware will be a nice to have, not a need to have. Then he added a little shrug emoji, which could mean literally anything.
I may have burned down your house while you were at work.
Regardless of the use of emojis, the important takeaway from that is the time frame mentioned, the 2020s, not in 2020, meaning we're going to see a lot of growth of streaming, subscription services, and storefronts, but that doesn't mean they'll be any good right out of the gate.
I love that we are finally far enough into the 2000s that we can be like, oh, it's the 20s. Like,
Yeah.
it's we're in the 20s.
It's the roaring 20s, everybody.
Bring back prohibition and
I don't know why that's jazz. It's like Hobbit music I was doing.
The state of Google Stadia is a great example of this because if anyone has the money and infrastructure to pull off a direct-to-you game streaming service that can be played on pretty much any device, it'd be Google.
I mean, you would think so, but they've been struggling to satisfy gamers with Stadia for a whole bunch of reasons.
Hey, performance issues can happen to anyone.
Especially over 60.
Hey, we've gone over a lot of the problems with Stadia in previous videos, but let's go over a quick checklist of some of the unkept promises and issues. Caden, whoa, what?
That was perfect, actually. I like that one.
I liked it. It was pretty
I
funny.
feel like the longer I do this, the worse I get at segues.
Promising but not delivering 4K gaming, that's a check. Upcharging for digital games, oh, that's a big check. Gaming suffering from severe lag, oh yeah, that's a check. And having to issue refunds for games, yep, yet another check. Stadia is full of issues.
That's 4 whole checks by my hands count. These are fairly typical early adopter problems. Most new technology has a period of growing pains, and based on the effort put in by the developers, that depends on how long those growing pains will last.
Let's take a look at VR. It's just now getting to a more manageable stage of recreational play and versatility. Though for a significant amount of players, it's still not fully accessible, making that platform difficult to grow.
Performance issues can happen to anyone.
Especially over 60.
Especially over 60, yeah. Streaming, on the other hand, is a different beast, and Google Stadia isn't the first attempt at making streaming games a thing.
Tell us about that, Caden.
Yeah, the craze began back at E3 2000 with Finnish developer G Cluster showing off the early stages of cloud gaming. Their concept was to stream your PC gameplay to a mobile device over Wi-Fi. And back in 2000, that was a huge deal. Of course, it wasn't commercially viable at the time because of latency issues during gameplay.
Performance issues really can happen to anyone, yeah.
Especially over 60.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's not always easy to find the G cluster. The first commercial jump onto Thanks. Yeah, the first commercial jump onto streaming was On Live, released back in March 2010, and it too suffered some pretty hard complaints that there was horrible input lag, and the graphical quality was not up to standards.
Yeah, starting to see a trend here. OnLive actually stuck it out for a while, but they were eventually purchased by Sony alongside Gaikai, yet another streaming game service which served as the foundation for PlayStation Now.
Yeah, unfortunately, PlayStation Now also suffers from the dreaded input lag issues. I can say from experience, it is impossible to play Lost Planet 2, though it's gotten better over time depending on your internet speeds, and they even offer a large selection of PS4 games to download instead of streaming them.
So hey, your net is fast enough, streaming games is a totally viable option these days.
Cool, great, but what about those of us without ridiculously fast internet speed?
Well, you, what are you doing?
Fair enough, yeah. Pressing
What's
jump
wrong
in
with
Destiny
you?
2 and having it happen 15 seconds later is just unacceptable by my metrics. Well, that's where subscription services and new storefronts come in, and while they are a bit different, the fact that there's so many of them available now and more coming soon means that while the console wars may be over, this ecosystem war is just heating up. You better get ready to enlist.
It's like the new era of Star Wars films, except less arguing about who someone's parents are and more someone saying your mom is a whore on social media because you're using the Epic Games Store instead of Steam. I was playing an isometric RPG last night for the first time in maybe 15 or 20 years, and it's all people calling each other's moms whores. Someone had the gall to say that they were playing on a boot-camped Mac.
What were you playing?
That person was insulted into the ground.
Crazy to think that we've only had the Epic Game Store for a year, but what's even crazier is just how much it's shaking things up for Steam. Isn't that right, Caden?
Yeah, with things like a 12% revenue split for developers, not forcing DRM restrictions onto its storefront, offering free games regularly, dropping the licensing fee for the Unreal Engine, and yeah, Fortnite, things are looking pretty good for Epic. And all of this has forced Valve to really innovate and bring some big changes itself, like, EA Games returning to Steam, Microsoft launching its game via the platform as well, updating their discovery algorithms, doubling down on VR, and hey, they announced a new Half-Life game. Holy shit.
So it seems like the heated competition between Epic and Valve has done nothing but good things for both platforms, developers, and publishers.
Crazy. Competition between product makers equals better products for consumers?
Yeah.
What? That's not even mentioning the various other publishers with their own storefronts and services. EA has Origin and EA Access, while Ubisoft has Uplay and Uplay Plus.
So
Can't
many.
forget about Uplay Plus. Compared to Steam and Epic, these aren't the utilized storefronts or services, but they do exist, and that's more than we could say about OnLive.
Rest in peace, OnLive.
And Ouya.
Rockstar released the Rockstar Games launcher, and while it's small and only features Rockstar-made games at the moment, and not even all of them, just a handful, could be a major player in the coming fight for ecosystem dominance.
Yeah, Rockstar makes some of the most beloved and remembered games, not to mention profitable. So if they're able to bolster their storefront the way Epic has, we may have a good old-fashioned standoff on our hands between Valve, Epic, and Rockstar.
Or Rockstar could go the way of Sega and end up favoring one storefront over the other, forcing those that love their games to jump to that platform as well.
Yeah, but let's not forget mobile games.
Oh, never forget mobile games.
Yeah, more people play mobile games now than ever before, and with the launch of Apple Arcade, and those games are actually good.
I have to take your word for
That's a
it.
hill I am happy to die on. It has some really awesome features like cloud saves, a lack of ads, in-app purchases, and the ability to share your Apple Arcade account with 6 other people via family sharing, and DualShock 4 and Xbox One controller support, which is dope. Actually, yeah.
Caden, yeah, it's kind of a bit of a Wild West situation right now, right?
Yeah, it seems like every major player in the industry is trying to find more ways to invade your life and pry more precious pennies from your wallet. And while there are some bumps in the road now, there may actually be some truth to these services becoming more important than what you're actually playing your games on. Consoles cost a lot of time and money to develop, and having a service that could serve as the same purpose without having to constantly release newer and better hardware could be the solution to all of those problems.
And they have better access to your data.
Honestly, the best of both worlds at the moment is coming from the big old M. Microsoft, despite starting this generation in last place, has made some huge strides in making the Xbox family of devices a much more welcoming place.
Yeah, when you're here, you're a gamer, I guess. Xbox Live is easily the most robust online console service and the longest standing online service for gamers.
Xbox Game Pass provided a huge boost in revenue and good faith to players. Plus, it actually is like Netflix for games.
I hear you. Could you please repeat what you said? You're Zach, but you asked me to call you. All right. Yeah.
Anyways, Patrick, why don't you take it from here?
Not to mention Xbox games with gold, which you own, unlike the monthly PS Plus titles. By the way, own is in quotation marks in the script because it is a digital game, so you don't really own it.
Yeah, we did a whole feature on that a while back, and we'll link it at the end of the video for you, because we're helpful like that. And of course, the xCloud. Caden, can you tell us more about that project?
Yeah, the preview version of xCloud is currently available for Android devices with over 50 games to play, which is a lot. Microsoft has mentioned that support for iOS is coming, and it will eventually support the PlayStation 4's DualShock controllers as well. But just because Microsoft has their hands in almost every cookie jar because they're greedy like that, it doesn't mean they've won the ecosystem war. At the moment, it's anyone's game, especially with Google and their dump trucks full of cash finally entering the fray.
Yeah, so as long as we get to keep making the xCloud pose, we don't really care who wins. Who's like the axis of evil in this scenario?
Who's the axis of evil? I still think it's Google.
Google? Yeah, that makes sense. In pretty much any scenario, I feel like they're a good fit into that. Maybe Elon Musk wants to get in on it too?
If Google and Disney combine, we're all screwed.
Yeah, there you go. And they will eventually.
You think it's fine that we only have 5 companies right now? Wait till there's only 3.
All right.
I say, let's give it a whirl.
Yeah.
What is there to lose? Not just daylight.
Your life if it doesn't work. I'm gonna kill you, life.
Questions about the current state of gaming. Is streaming integration the future? Why would they call it Stadia? What's this thing growing on my back? And most importantly, will we actually own any of the games we play on the service? The scary thing is you already may not own the games you play right now. With game streaming picking up momentum, more and more of the moving parts of gaming are happening